How much support will earnings give to the markets when you still have the Delta variant spreading? Not to mention that the fiscal support that was promised seems a little bit disappointing at this moment.
Yeah, so I'm really going to be fixated on the FANG earnings. I think if you look even today, you had fairly weak breadth across the market. So more and more of the market's being driven by fewer and fewer companies. So I think we really need to see them deliver. And then once we start thinking about the next subjects, it's what's happened to fiscal stimulus, right? We were going to get a big, bipartisan deal. That seems to be off the table. And there's even some concern whether you'll be able to push through anything big via reconciliation, as the Democratic Party seems to have some disagreement. So I think fiscal stimulus is set to disappoint. And then we have to figure out what's going on with the Delta variant. The positive news so far is, although it's obviously, infecting a lot of people, it seems to be, less severe in those that's affected. So I think we need to see that continue. And if we can get through that, maybe it spurs more vaccination, gets us kind of where we need to be. But that's something I think in the back of a lot of people's minds is, this, oh no, I don't think we're there again.
Given the uncertainty, does it make sense that you could start diversifying, perhaps with crypto assets that are now getting another boost?
I think you're supposed to run a diversified portfolio. I actually like, non-U.S. stocks right now. I think there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of, foreign indices have lagged the U.S. Crypto, I think, has one more good leg down. I know it, popped recently. There was some, big talk about this. But I think we are still in the early stages of government regulation. We're seeing China kind of push back on it. I think you're going to see more on the U.S. pushing back on it. So I'd avoid crypto. I think you can look to other assets maybe that are around that. I think big tech is still okay. But I think you have to avoid crypto right now for one more kind of big pushback from governments and regulators.
Peter, speaking of pushing back and also potentially avoiding, would you still be avoiding some of the big Chinese tech names? We've just been crunching the data when it comes to these US IPOs of China and Hong Kong domiciled companies, and they've performed so poorly since their US listings.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think there is something going on behind the scenes that it's very difficult to understand what China's endgame is. But from anything from launching its own digital currency, the digital yuan, to really pushing back on crypto miners, to allowing DD to go public and then finding them. There's something going on, and I think you want to stay away from that. It's such a powerful move. I think you can find other investment opportunities, and you want to wait. I like to be a buy the dip, or I want to buy, pick things at the bottom. I would much rather be focused on energy and commodities, which I think have a little bit more upside given the recent sell-off, than the big Chinese tech.
Does that upside continue even as we continue to watch the impact of the Delta variants, the the very patchy rollout of the vaccination process in a lot of countries? Does that impact the sort of smoothness of the growth cycle for you?
Yeah, I think I want to be a little bit cautious on emerging markets. I think the emerging markets are a little bit behind, certainly the U.S. in terms of vaccination, in terms of Europe. I think their ability to deal with that. So I am looking away from emerging markets. But the opportunity with this growth is still there. And you're seeing some of the announcements today, whether it's Twitter and Snap, who did very well, and the outlook for the next quarter is very good. But if we start returning to work a little bit, will people really be able to use this, these apps as much as they've been using them? So I think, again, this work from home shift back to a, work from the office will really impact those companies, slow down some of their revenue growth, and surprise people to the upside on traditional. I like commercial real estate a lot in the U.S., for example.